Hi everyone, welcome to this video. This is going to be the books that I have read in June. I have completed all the books that I wanted to, plus a few extra. So I wanted to let you know what books they were, if I recommend them, and what I thought about them. Let's get started. I finished this one, The Library of the Dead by T.L. Hutu. So skip ahead if you don't want spoilers. I'll just say it at the beginning of every book. Because since this is like a book review, I don't want it to be the same as like my TBR, like when I want to read this is what it's about. Because then that'd be very redundant. The main character's name is Ropa, and she can talk to ghosts. One of the ghosts come to her, to Ropa, and it's like, my son is missing. Like, he's alive, but he's missing. He's not in the ghost world, and we don't know where he is in the real world. Like, can you track him down for me? And at first she's like, if I don't get paid, I'm not gonna do that. But eventually she decides to look into it. And she finds that these kids are missing, and then sometimes they're returned and they still look like a kid, except for their head is like an elderly person. Like their soul was sucked out of them, which is what was happening. Souls got sucked out and they came back just like nothing. One issue that I have with this is that it's called The Library of the Dead. So I was like excited to see like more of the library. I mean, it's like on the cover, it's the name of the title. Literally, The Library of the Dead was barely in it. Maybe there was 2 scenes or something. But I don't know if this is a series, so I'm like, maybe it comes into play later in the series. So that was just one of the disappointing things. I was like, when's the library gonna get involved? What's gonna happen with this library thing? So I thought that was a little strange here, but I have these cute little tabs that I put in. If I like a quote or if a scene is funny or something like that, I like to put a little post-it note in it. I don't really have a system. I just use this. I just mark it up. So maybe one day I'll have different stickies that mean different things. But the main character, like just the writing style, she's still very sarcastic. So I'll read like this one little sentence, for instance. It's like, business is a bit slow at the moment, but I should be out hustling, but I need a break. That and a new pair of feet. I just thought that was funny because it's like, you can't buy a new pair of feet. So it's just, there's a lot of lines like that where it's just like, that's funny. Like, I definitely chuckled a bit at this book. The beginning was a little, like, the first half of the book was like, oh, okay. But when you get till the end, like 75% of the way through, I was just like, that's where like it really ramped up, lots of action. So I recommend this one. It was very good overall, and I'm hoping that there's more to the series and that the library will be more involved. A book by Sarah Knight called Get Your Together. Here's what it looks like. Give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a good book. I listened to the audiobook version, and it was about a like 4 or 5 hour listen. I got it from the library, the Libby app with my local library. And this one, they're like self-help books, kind of like telling you how to get your life together, tips and stuff. So I liked it. I don't remember too much about the book. I have trouble remembering audiobooks. But I just remember driving and be like, oh, I like that. For example, like the thing I liked the most was advice about emails, because for my job, I have a lot of email work that I do. Don't have your email program running in the background while you work, because you get distracted. You hear that ding of the email and you're like, oh, I have an email, better check it. Just like with your phone, it's like turn the sound off, turn the vibrate off if you don't want to be thinking about your messages. Or do you have that, when you hear the bing on your phone or whatever sound it makes, or the vibration when you get a message, are you just automatically, I have to see it? It's like this like quick adrenaline rush. So she was saying, stop being so attached to that kind of stuff. So if you're working and you need to be focused and you keep hearing like ding, 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 like whenever you get an email and you just go check it right away, I do that. She said instead, like turn the sound off and dedicate, okay, for, from 1 to 2, I'm just going to sort through my email. And at 2 o'clock, I'm just going to close it down and start my next project. I loved that advice. And I was like, I want to try to start doing that so that I'm better with my time management. Another book that I have read is called Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto. There it is. That's what the cover looks like. I gave this one 5 stars. I really liked this book. I thought it was funny. It was a quick read. The pace moved very fast. It's almost like, I feel like this whole book is like a domino effect because the whole premise is this girl goes on a blind date and ends up killing the guy. And then she calls her mom and her aunts to be like, I killed the guy, what do I do? And they're helping her. So the whole story is just, there's just so many like unbelievable moments. You're just like, oh my gosh, like, sorry if there's any spoilers. If you haven't read this book yet, you can skip forward, but like this book really reminded me of this movie, like I think it's like from the 80s called Weekend at Bernie's, where like the two guys like find this guy dead and they like want to make it look like he's alive. So there's like a part in this book where that happens, and I thought it was so funny. There were so many times where I was like chuckling as I read. So I highly, highly recommend this book. It was very, very cute. The next book that I'm going to talk about is an audiobook, and it is Ali Wong, Dear Girls. Ali Wong is a comedian, and I actually just watched her Netflix special, Baby Cobra, which she referenced a lot in the book, and even like some of the jokes she explained and stuff. So I was like, oh, I should have done it the other way around. I should have watched her comedy and then listened to the book, but it just didn't work out that way. This book was really funny. Her comedy though is a little like raunchy, but it was funny, especially like being a woman. And I think if I had kids, if I like knew what being pregnant was like and like having children, I think I would like her comedy and this book a lot more. But I really like the format of the book. It's written to her 2 daughters, so every chapter is like, dear girls, please remember blah 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 this or whatever, like, and it's just advice for her girls. And it's funny in the beginning, she's like, hi, don't listen to this until you're old enough to have a drink, because the topics that she talks about. But like I said, it was an audiobook, so I don't really remember a lot, and I can't like go back and look and see where I marked it up and stuff. So that's why I love physical books, and like it's actually a lot easier when I read it Kindle, because like something on the Kindle, because it's really cool because you can highlight sections, and then I can just go into my Goodreads and be like, oh, look at my Kindle highlights, and it just all pops up there. So I like that. Okay, I finished reading The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and I enjoyed this one. You can see there's all of these sections that I liked, which is a lot. So I was looking at reviews that others gave of this book. I was reading some of the reviews, and a lot of them, it was very like split down the middle. A lot of people were like, this is a self-help book in disguise. But I don't know, I like self-help books, so I didn't really care. I really loved this. This just was kind of special to me. The premise was so interesting. It does talk a lot about suicide. It's about a girl who commits suicide, and she's kind of stuck in between life and death, and she gets put in this place called the Midnight Library, where she then has to decide if she wants to live or die. Fast forward if you don't want spoilers. But so this book, it's cool because she's in the life in between. And in this library, she gets asked, like, what do you regret? What do you want to change? So she gets to go back and see what her life would have been like had she made different decisions. So some of it was like, oh, I wish I never broke up with Dan. Or, you know, and then she would go to that life, and then she saw like, oh, dang, that's not a happy life. She's like, maybe I'm glad that never happened. It was very interesting to see that she just wasn't happy in any of them. She was just struggling in every life, and like everything disappointed her in every life. And I just loved that it was making her look at her original life and kind of appreciating the changes that, or not the changes, but appreciating the choices that she made. And I just thought it was done beautifully. I really liked this book, and it made me think a lot. One of the things that really stood out to me was they said that when you were in this other life, if you decided to leave, you would leave if you were like disappointed and you decide, I don't want this life. And then, so they said that you would leave that life, and then like the person in that life would then be like, wait, what did I walk in here for? Like, what did I come to get? Or like, what were we talking about? Like, I totally forgot. And it's funny because like everyone experiences that. Like, so now I joke like with my boyfriend, if I walk, I'm like, oh shoot, what was I gonna get? Be like, oh, someone must have been trying out my life. a different version of Kayla has been trying out this life. So that's funny. I highly recommend this one. Pick it up. I think you'll enjoy it. It wasn't terribly sad, but just know that it does talk about suicide, and some of the things that she says are very sad and could be triggering. So if you're not into that, you know, maybe skip it. Find a different book that you can enjoy. Nancy Drew, book number 7. So I just like reading Nancy Drew. It just reminds me of when I was a kid. I would always read these, and I don't really remember any of the stories, so I just wanted to read them again. This one is about a house. You can see on the cover, a house, like it has an explosion, is on fire. And so Nancy stops to help and make sure no one's inside. And she sees a man. She sees a notebook on the floor. And so she picks it up, and it's in Swedish. And so she has to, she like runs around trying to figure out like, hey, who knows Swedish? Who can interpret this? So I was like, I want like a nice, easy read, which is what I got with Nancy Drew. Another book that I read is called Fudge Bites by Nancy Coco. And this one I had read like, you know, probably like a fourth of it. I think around Halloween. So it's been a while. And so I decided I want to like finish it. And I'm really glad I did. I really liked the story. It had fall vibes, and I was reminded of Halloween and, you know, the fall weather, even though it's summer now. But I thought this was very cute. It's a cozy mystery, and those are usually very fun and easy reads. And this one, it's there's a zombie walk and somebody gets killed, and so this main character, she's trying to figure out who did it, and she keeps getting like caught up. Like whoever did it does not want her to figure it out, and so they keep putting these roadblocks in her way. So I really thought it was funny, and it's a series. I do not think this is book 1. I think there's more in it, but I was able to jump like right in. Even though I didn't know who any of the characters were, I didn't have that feeling like, oh, I don't know what's going on, I better go back. So you can jump in at any time and read something like this. I would put it on your to-read list for fall if you're looking for a cute Halloween book. It's The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. This one, it has been a very interesting book. It's an audiobook, so of course I forget a lot and I don't have notes or anything, but it's just talking about how giving yourself good habits is a great way to help you live better. I just remember one of the things it talked about was like, if you want to quit a habit, you have to like replace it with something. Anyway, so the author was talking about like, look at what your habits are, look at why you do that, and like what triggers that habit. Before you go to grab that certain like thing that you're going to do, think like, wait, why am I doing this right now? And then instead of reaching for that thing that they were going to do, you replace it with something else. So that was like one method that he was trying to say that you should try. Oh, another interesting thing about this book was talking about grocery stores and how they analyze shoppers' habits in a grocery store, like for food. They analyze habits, and then they use those habits to try to get you to buy more stuff. A lot of times in grocery stores, like you walk in and the produce and like the fruit and the veggies are right in front, right next to the door, because they want shoppers to shop there first, because then you load your basket with fruits, veggies, and, you know, more healthy stuff, salads and stuff like that. By the time you go around and you're in the junk food aisle or the candy, like you're looking at candy and chips and soda, you're like, you know what? I got all this broccoli, I got all this salad. I'm gonna get me some Doritos, you know, put it in. You're like, oh, I want ice cream. Well, I'm gonna have broccoli for dinner, so like, I'm gonna have ice cream. So they were just talking about like habits like that, like stores use those habits that people have and they try to make money off of you. So it's something to think about next time you go. Maybe shop for your healthy food last. I'm going to try that. The last book that I read is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This one was really cute. I got lots of tabs in this one. I think I really liked this one because the main character has like chronic fibromyalgia. And I don't have fibromyalgia, but I have a chronic disease called cystic fibrosis. And so much of what the main character was thinking, like how having an illness impacts her life. Like, I've said a lot of these things myself about my own life. I've had a lot of the same doubts, a lot of the same worries, a lot of the same feelings. And so just reading it, I just really connected with the main character. And, you know, and then like seeing her with someone, seeing her happy, seeing her accept herself and stuff, like I really loved that. And like, I feel like my life has some parallels with this. Like, so I just really enjoyed this book. I really connected with it. And there's 2 more in the series so far, but they're about her sisters. So like Chloe Brown is the oldest sister, and then she has her younger sister Danny, and then Eve, and they each have their own book. So I'm interested to read the other 2, but I'm like, but I liked Chloe so much, like, because I like got along with her. Like, I'd be friends with Chloe, you know, like. So I recommend this one. It is a romance novel. Okay, so those are all the books that I've read, and overall, I pretty much like everything I read, and I think that's because I like everything I read. I mean, most of the books I pick out for myself because they sound good to me. So it only makes sense that I would like most of the books that I'm reading. But if you have any recommendations, I am always open to hear them. And I like trying out new genres and new books. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy reading. And thank you. Bye.